All right, what's up, guys? Last week I posted a Q&A question box on my Instagram story and received a couple of questions. And I wanted to make a YouTube video of bringing the questions to the forefront and then my answers for those questions. So I received two on Instagram, and then I did have one of my wife's volleyball players ask me this week one of these questions as well. And so I thought it was fitting because it kind of just applies to sports and athletes. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into these three questions I have them written down here. So the first one was, what do I get, or what should I start with equipment wise when I'm trying to start a home gym or build up my home gym? So I just posted a video about that. My last video actually is part one of the series of how to start your own home gym, or at least where I started and what I have done to accumulate the equipment that I have. So you guys should definitely tune into that episode of where to get started, but I will answer that on here as well. So I started with simple power rack, barbell, and then weight plates. I bought a rack that had a little cable attachment with a low pulley and a high pulley. So you can do things like rows, tricep extensions, lat pull downs, curls, things of those natures. And then I had a handful of cable attachments so I could do said exercises with it. This is just where I started. I also got a steal of a deal on some adjustable dumbbells off of Facebook Marketplace. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the dumbbells. Like I said, steal of a deal, so I had to take it. So that's what I started with. But and I started there because I was powerlifting at the time. I've always been into barbell lifts and things of that nature. And there's a lot of things you can do with the barbell and a power rack and a bench. Especially if you get one of the new power racks that kind of have maybe a landmine attachment. Not necessary, but it helps. And then things with like the cable attachments, you can there's a lot of versatility within that stuff that you really don't need a lot of space for. And then B, you don't really need much more equipment than that really to get started and to make a lot of progress and continue for years on end. Things like dumbbells and kettlebells really can take your training further, and then especially adding things like bands and even chains, just your whole versatile plethora of exercises that you can do with just that stuff right there. So that's where I would start, especially if you're someone that's just looking for functional cut type training, some body weight stuff. Calisthenics can take you a long way and you don't need any equipment to do that. But things like kettlebells, an arsenal of dumbbells or sandbags, things that you just a little bit more what would be perceived as functional type training. That stuff is very low on taking up space. You can literally shove it to the side. You can keep it in your car. It's good for putting it in storage in your basement. So little things like that can also go a long way if you're not really into the whole power rack, barbell, weights type stuff. If you're more into body weight or circuits, like I said, functional freestyle movements, accumulating some various dumbbells and kettlebells of different weights can definitely, and sandbags, things of that nature will definitely tackle that box for you. So the second question is, how do I stay consistent with my protein intake? So obviously a lot of people struggle with their protein intake and accumulating enough on a daily basis. My biggest thing is setting up a plan to ensure that you're consuming foods that A, sit right through your digestion, but B, that you're going to have readily available. So meats, eggs, things of that nature, but things that that are also going to provide you with the right kinds of protein. You can try to rely on the protein powders and things of that nature, but man, meat and eggs are going to take you a really long way. But one thing that I really like to start people with is, are you going to eat 3-4 meals a day? And then setting, how much protein you need per meal, and then how much protein you can get maybe in a bedtime snack or something of those nature, or snacks throughout the day. Staying consistent with your protein is extremely important, and it is hard for a lot of people. So, finding the right amount of protein that you need on a daily basis is important. And then, like I said, what I like to do from there is, so I need about 220 grams of protein per day. That equals, 55 grams of protein per meal, because I have 4 meals per day. As long as I can stay within that ballpark each and every meal, and base it around some form of meat or eggs, and then a side of like Greek yogurt even, I'm not then relying on the whey protein or any other filler type protein I'm getting it from whole natural sources. And then as long as, like I said, I'm staying within that 55 gram protein range, 50 to 60 gram really ideally per meal, that ensures that I'm staying consistent throughout the day, so I'm not having huge fluctuations. Um, and then I'm hitting my goal at the end of the day by staying within that window at each meal. Now, yes, it can get really boring and repetitive to eat and consume the same things, so it's important that you season your meats differently, or you prepare them differently each and every time. There's a difference between grilled chicken and baked chicken, and so you can try different things like that, different seasonings, different sauces. Now, you can get in trouble with the sauces deal because a lot of them could have extra calories or extra sugars that you really don't need. But truthfully, at the end of the day, you need to see the food that you're eating as fuel for your performance in your life, and your health. Yeah, we always want things to taste good, but at the end of the day, if you're constantly trying to manipulate your meals so they're reminding you of, a yummy dessert or of something from a fast food joint, you're really just setting you up for failure by creating a barrier of always needing your food to taste good, and especially your protein to taste a certain way, instead of just understanding that, hey, sometimes the chicken's just not going to taste the best because I'm tired of using the seasoning, or this is the third time I've had it this week. But at the end of the day, that's what's going to get you your goals, is the repetitive, boring, consistent work. Ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, chicken breast, different cuts of steak, burgers. You have eggs. Bacon's not the best source of protein with how much fat is in it, but if it's in line with your macros and your goals, then it's definitely a good source. You have pork chops, different cuts of pork, all kinds of different red meats. You have chuck roasts and things of that nature. So there's definitely so many different avenues you can pursue within trying to get your protein from animal meats. You don't necessarily just have to have chicken all the time. But at the end of the day, if you're always trying to find a workaround or a scapegoat to get out of your protein intake or to make your protein taste a certain way, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You just need to buy into the fact that you need protein. It is essential for not only muscular growth, but other very important functions within the body. It is important for bone health, skeletal health, things of that nature, and longevity. It's really, really important, especially as we age, to continue to have and maintain a high protein intake. And so establishing these habits now, developing a healthy relationship with it now, is extremely important for down the line as well. So third and final question was the one that my wife's volleyball athlete asked me, or volleyball player asked me. So she is also a track runner, track athlete. Are there exercises I can do to improve my 800-meter time? And so the simple answer that I gave her was basically because I talked with them in a presentation about nutrition and why the weight room is so important, and why protein is essential for building muscle. The weight room is important for building that muscle because muscles move bone, and if we can produce more force with our muscles, that is going to equal more output on the field, court, mat, whatever we're looking for, right? So if we can build a stronger muscle in the weight room and then fuel it with the right amount of protein outside of the weight room, we're going to build a really strong, healthy, capable, explosive muscle that can give us the output and withstand the demands that we're looking for. So essentially, I told her, there's no really exercises that you're looking to do specifically. What you're just wanting to do is build up the strength and resilience, and the capacity of the muscle itself. So obviously all the muscles in your lower legs and your core and your back are all going to contribute to this. And so it's just a long-winded answer, but the short answer is essentially if you notice that your squat's going up and your 800-meter time is coming down, your squat is improving your 800-meter time. If you're also doing things like, let's just, for example, kettlebell swings, Nordics, and Bulgarian split squats, and you're doing all of those in conjunction with your squat, and you're noticing your 800 time is improving. So, you're chipping away at the seconds. Then you know that those things are contributing in some capacity because they're improving your muscular strength, endurance capacity, which is then allowing you to express a higher level of output on the track because it's reducing your 800-meter time. Now, if you're doing these things and your 800-meter time becomes stagnant, or you feel like you were getting slower, it could be due to the things you're doing in the weight room. It could also be due to things outside of the weight room, like your recovery, nutrition, hydration, stress management, your sleep, things of that nature. But if nothing changes, and what you're doing in the weight room changes, and then you see that stagnation, then what you're doing in the weight room is not having a transfer to your 800 meter time or whatever, your shot put, your baseball pitch, whatever it is. You want the things in the weight room to have a positive transfer to your sport activity, your endeavor, whatever it may be. And so there's no one specific exercise. And at some point, like you may get to a point where improving your squat max isn't really going to help you get faster, but improving your split squat with the barbell on your back improving that can help get you faster. It's just little things like that. And it's a long-winded answer. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the simplicity of it. It's going to be based off of individual variance and how you respond to the stimuli that you're getting from the weight room and the exercises that you're choosing. And so, it's really untelling of what specifically is going to increase your 800 meter time, your 400 meter time, like I said, your shot put, your basic pitch, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, hitting the weight room consistently and continuing to improve or find things to PR, whether that's your vertical jump, your weighted box jump, your seated weighted box jump, your seated box jump, your broad jump, your squat, your deadlift, your clean, your bench, your incline press, your shoulder press. At some point, improving these things consistently is going to yield you some returns, gains, and some positive net results. It's not going to be for nothing. Now, if you're just someone that constantly tries to improve their benching, constantly tries to improve their squat, and you're not seeing the results that you want, there's other exercises that you can implement at different times, different seasons, that are going to allow you to make progress on those things. And on the back end, when you return to the squat or the bench, those things will, as a byproduct with time, be improved as well from the added increases in strength, coordination, whatever it may be from the other exercises that you did as well. So there's no one specific exercise or order of exercises that's directly going to improve one thing. It's like, hey, this is the end all be all. But the implementation and the periodization of things does play an important role. And a good strength conditioning coach will ensure that things are rotated in and out. There's variance for the athletes, so they can continue making progress, continue challenging the body and providing a different stimuli in different ways to keep the body guessing and keep the CNS challenged and fresh, as well as all the other systems in the body as well. So these are 3 really great questions that I received. I hope this Q&A answers some questions for you guys. So if you received any value from this, please share it with a friend or a colleague. Share it with someone that could benefit from this information. Because if you have these questions, or if you got any benefit from these questions, then I guarantee someone else can as well. And so not only would it benefit me, it benefits other people as well, and I really appreciate it. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are interested in one-on-one coaching, please reach out, whether that's through email or DM me on Instagram. If you're interested in any training programs, I have some on my website at abestrength.com. There are also a few options on the Train Heroic Marketplace website. And if you guys are interested in any educational type material, I have a few ebooks as well as articles on my website at abestrength.com as well. Thank you guys for all your support. Please keep watching these videos, keep sharing them, liking them, leaving comments. Everything helps, and I hope I can continue providing high quality content for you guys moving forward. Thank you.